Going live, and we are live. The broadcast is up, and the room is opening in just a few seconds now. And so I can start to actually welcome everybody in to our webinar today about solving the Evernote puzzle. Let me take a look in the attendee room and see if people are indeed. Look at that! Hundreds of people are joining me as I speak. This is exciting and kind of nerve-wracking from my perspective. This is going to be the biggest webinar that I have ever delivered. So everybody who's coming in, I need to welcome you very much and thank you for joining me and trusting me with your time today to learn a little bit more about Evernote, to solve the puzzle that is Evernote. I'm going to let the room kind of fill up, and then I'm going to invite you guys to look on the right-hand side of your screen. There's a chat box that we have. Now, this is going to be a fairly well-attended webinar, so the chat might get a little bit busy, but I encourage you to tell me where you're from. Just post in there where you're from. I won't have time to welcome everybody, obviously, in person, but I'm going to review the chat afterwards, so I'd love to see where everybody's coming in from today to join us to learn about Evernote. We're going to try and keep this to exactly an hour. I don't like webinars that go over, but I want to make sure that I get as much information. I've got a ton of stuff to download to you today as far as Evernote. So we'll keep it to an hour. There might be time for some questions at the end. If we do have time for questions, I'll hit you up with the questions. If you have burning questions, stick around after the webinar in the chat room, and I'll visit the chat room for a while, and I'll answer as many questions as I can there as well. So the structure today is going to be mainly demo. Before we're up to 180 people in the room. This is awesome sauce. Let me start things off by just asking you, if you look in the right-hand side, there should be a poll there that is up right now. It's, what sort of Evernote user are you? We can begin starting the poll. There we go. And I want to know how experienced you are with Evernote and what you're looking for as far as the webinar today. I'm going to be delivering this webinar 7 times over the next 3 days. So you guys are my beta test. So any changes that I'm going to make to the webinar, I'm going to do based on your feedback. So looking forward to what you have to say as we move along, and certainly interested in your level of expertise with Evernote. So please fill in that poll as we move ahead. And what I'm going to do a few other administrative things. In the chat room, I have an administrator. Poor Fraser is sitting in the chat room, and he will be responding to you if you're having technical issues or if you have burning questions. Interact with Fraser, and then he will praise me of it at the very end. The entire webinar today is live, so I won't be able to interact too much with the chat because I'll be concentrating on the content. Sometimes when I do these webinars, I do hybrid versions where I've pre-recorded the demos, and I actually have that sitting in the back if I need it, if everything goes wrong. But I'm going to try and deliver everything live today, including real-time demos of Evernote and all of its integration. So we'll see how that goes as we move along. But Fraser's there to answer your questions, and I'm here to teach you as much as we can in an hour about the Evernote puzzle, all of the different pieces that put Evernote together. So let me just quickly, let's try screen sharing right off the top, and let me take you into my little slideshow that I have here, and it's going to look crazy for just a second here as I start sharing. There we go, and of course we have that wild thing that happens with Webinar Jam and with Google Hangouts that makes that screen to do that mirror effect going along. So what are we going to cover today in solving the Evernote puzzle? The agenda is I'm going to walk through what I consider to be some of really the 5 main pieces of the puzzle, how I use Evernote on a daily basis. We're going to talk about using Evernote research, for curating and collating and pulling together information. We're going to talk about organizing that information once you've brought it into Evernote. We're going to talk about using Evernote where you are. One of the keys to Evernote is it should give you all of your stuff wherever you are, whenever you want it. And that means that it has to have wonderful mobility integration, which indeed Evernote does. We're going to be celebrating that and talking about that. Integration with other apps and integration with other services is also key, because Evernote is the place that all of our information lives, but we tend to use that information in other environments. How well does Evernote integrate with those environments? We're going to be taking a look at that, and we're going to be talking about one of the most exciting aspects, at least as far as I'm concerned, is Evernote for collaboration. While it is all your information and you're storing it all yourself, Evernote also facilitates some great collaboration with others. So I'm going to be doing it all today through a live demo. There's about 45 minutes where I'm going to be walking you through the process. If you're coming here expecting me to show you menus and say, this is how I click and open and create a new note, this is not the webinar for you. I'm going to try and show you context today to get you to understand the totality of what Evernote really is. And so to do that, I'm going to set it against how I use Evernote on a daily basis and let you set your own personal lens against that. Evernote is very, there's no right and wrong way to use Evernote. Once you've started to use it, you fit it into the way that you work. Now, you might change some things based on Evernote's capabilities. You might change some of the way you do things, but the bottom line is the way that you set up Evernote, the way that you use it, is going to be quite a bit different than almost anybody else. But by showing you how one person does, how I use it on a daily basis, I think I can give you a good idea of different ways that you can use it and certainly give you a better appreciation for the potential and what Evernote can do for you. There'll be questions at the end, and with that, let's just dive in and get into the demo part of this webinar. So I'm going to bring up Evernote right here on my screen here. Now, one of the things I want to start with is talking about Evernote itself and making sure that we're all on the same page as far as what Evernote is, because a lot of people get confused about Evernote, and the reason is I think people think when they start looking at Evernote that it's an app, that it's an application that you use like Microsoft Word or Excel, and it's not. Evernote is really, it's the data, it's a service, and here's an analogy. It might work, it might not. Think about food. Evernote is food. Now, we access our food, we prepare our food, we deal with our food in a lot of different ways. We cook it, we store it, we acquire it, we use different tools such as a stove or a deep fryer, or we use a barbecue to prepare it, and we enjoy it, or we use it in different ways. We use it for sustenance, we use it for entertainment, we use it for pleasure, we use it for my parents used to occasionally use it for punishment, but that is my cross to bear. But we use it in so many different ways. So what we're really talking about is Evernote. The data that is in Evernote, the content that is in Evernote, is like our digital food, and then we access it with different tools like a stove and the fridge and those sorts of things, and those are the apps. So when you look at your app on your desktop computer or the web-based app or the one on your mobile phone, those are simply tools that allow us to get in and use Evernote and massage the information. And once we take that data, once we take all of our digital bits and we start to expand where we use it outside of Evernote, but it's been stored and archived in Evernote, then we start to see kind of the fullness of what Evernote brings to the table. It's the place that stores everything for us. All of our digital bits of information are stored in Evernote. Now, having said that, this screen that you see in front of you right now is my own actual Evernote account, and it looks a little messy occasionally, but this is the way that I work with Evernote. Now, another confusing point of Evernote is when people show you Evernote, it looks different than it might look when you open it on your computer. There's a couple of reasons for that. One, Evernote builds kind of custom versions for every specific operating system, and they take advantage of features in that operating system. So every one of the dedicated apps is not identical. And certainly in the mobility world, they look quite a bit different, and they act a little bit different. But beyond that fact, the layout, the actual physical layout of the screens are different based on how you like to set it up. Just like if you look at other people's Outlook account, if you've got email, it might be set up different than yours. So mine is set up with a sidebar here, which has a kind of a quick pick area so that I can access all of my main notebooks as well as my most recent notes and pin notes that are really important to me that I return to on a regular basis. Down the middle is just basically a roster of all of the notes that happen to be in the particular notebook that I'm in, and then on the right-hand side is my editing screen or viewing screen where I can actually write new notes, create content, and work with the notes using the different menus and the different editing features within it. So that's the basic layout of Evernote. Now behind this is all of my data, which is synced to the web, which we do. If you take a look on the very top here, there's this little syncing tool that tells us that everything is synced to the internet, meaning that once it's synced to the web, all of my other devices sync to the account as well, so I have the same information available to me in all areas. So that's a basic structure of Evernote. As I say, I don't really want to walk you through a tutorial on using Evernote today. I want to show you what Evernote is and how it fits. So how does my day begin with Evernote? Let's start right there. Now I am a content creator. What I do is I create content on a daily basis, and for the most part I'm always researching and looking for new content that I can put that I can use to create my videos for my YouTube channel. So a big part of my day is spent browsing information, reading what other people think of different applications, and trying to get an idea for different stories and different content that I can curate, that I can pull together and then share with my audience. So right now, I'm in the middle of preparing for a back-to-school video where I'm going to be talking about different apps for kids going back to school. So this morning I was researching that, and I came across a website that I haven't seen before, and here's some information that I want to store, that I want to look at and consider an app called iHomework, and I want to take a look at that, and I want to see whether or not it fits in my story. So how do I gather this information and store it so that I can return to it at an appropriate time? That's the basis of gathering information. Now, we've developed a variety of systems for doing this over the years. I mean, most of us would say, oh, this is great, Steve. I can just bookmark this and then I can return. Have you bookmarked a site lately? Can you find any sites that you've bookmarked other than maybe your bank? Bookmarks are a place that information goes to never be found again. I guess there's the odd person out there that's figured out how to use bookmarks to retrieve information on a regular basis. I haven't. So bookmarks are a waste of time, and most of us know that. So the more creative of us go, email's awesome. So what they do is they copy the URL out of the browser, and they email the URL to themselves into their email, and they search for it in email. This, my friends, is a bad idea. Email is not a filing system. It's not an information retrieval system. It's a communications tool. You know how much time you've wasted searching for things in email. It is not a good filing environment. So that is again, a misguided attempt. Okay, here's another thought. We can copy the URL out of this site, and we can paste it into a note. We can save a Microsoft Word document or a Google document, and we can paste the URL. Well, that might work so that you can go back and find it later, but it's very labor intensive. You have to copy and paste the URL. You have to type some context, because if not, you have no context. You look at a blank or a plain old URL on a page and you go, what's that for? It doesn't tell us anything often in the actual URL. So that's a labor intensive way. And how many documents do you have on your computer that have URLs in them, that have links in them, that you've never returned to or that you have to search for and find again? Again, not the best way to curate and gather information. Evernote has released a tool a long time ago, which actually, when I first looked at it, I think I wept. It is such a beautiful implementation. It's such a cool product. Built into your web browser, you can add something called the Evernote Web Clipper, and you can see it probably right up here, the little elephant icon that's installed in my browser bar right here. Now, I'm browsing in Chrome here, but you can use this. It'll install in Safari, it'll install in Firefox, it'll install in all the main browsers. Let's say that this is a document that I want to save, I want to refer to it. All I do as I'm reading through information on a daily basis is click on the Evernote Web Clipper, and a little dialog box pops up with a few different options allowing me to capture this information. And when I capture this information, it's going to sync it and save it to my Evernote account so that I have access to it. Now, it'll save the whole article, it'll save the full page, it'll just save the bookmark if we want. But it also does something here. This is so cool. If I choose to view the simplified article, do you see down the right-hand side here, there's lots of ads in this copy. If you're going to be saving information from the web, you don't want all of the ads attached. Evernote has a technology that I think they call Clearly, or they had a product called Clearly that will strip out all advertising and all ancillary information and just bring you the simplified article for anything you're working with. Excuse me. So by clicking on that, it strips out all of the ads so that now when I save this to Evernote, I just have the information that I'm interested in. When I save it, it's connected intimately to my Evernote account, so I can actually choose which notebook it's going to go into, and I can add tags. Now, we'll be talking about tags a few times through this process, but tags allow me to add more context to any notes. It also creates some outward-looking connections in Evernote to other services, but for my purposes here, any tags that I'm interested in putting in using for demo purposes, I add the demo tag to. That way, when I'm dry and I'm looking for information, I'm looking for ideas for videos, I can just call up my demo tags, and I see all of the products that or all of the clippings that I've done over the last little while that I think might be appropriate for doing my video demos on. And it's Muse to help me get inspired and to help me figure out exactly, especially if I don't have a good idea of what I want to produce next. So that's the process that I go through as I browse information, find valuable information, then I save it, and it will of course be synced now to the cloud, and then sync back, and I can access it in my own desktop version or my mobile version of Evernote. As soon as it's clipped, it says, do you want to share this in any way, shape, or form? And it gives us some social media sharing. So if it's something that's share-worthy immediately, you can post it to Twitter or Google Plus or Facebook right away. And the post that it's going to create is going to have a little link that is actually going to have a shared note. So they will get the same information. They will get basically a note version of that they can view with all of the detail within the link. And I'm going to be talking a little bit more about that as in the second half today when we talk about sharing options. But we see the first peek of what Evernote does as far as sharing right through this dialog box here. But for the most part, that's all I do as I'm browsing. Now I do, before I leave this, want to show you one other tool that's built in here that allows us to look at the same information, but instead of saving it as a full text article with all of the text being able to search it, we can create a screenshot from it. And screenshots are tremendously useful, especially when you're talking to your, let's just demark the area, especially when you're doing design work or layout work or anything else. You can just grab the image. Now this is not an editable piece of text anymore, but instead it's a graphic. But I've got all of these annotation tools so that I can quickly and easily mark this up. So I could, if I was, say, working on this with my web designer, I could tell them, take that and move it from there down to there, and I can mark it up and I can communicate super effectively using graphics and marking up a screen instead of just saving it as text. So this is where we start to see some of the collaborative aspects of Evernote as well. Now I've saved that as well. I have the same sharing option. I'm just going to close that down. Let's return back now to my Evernote account and let us make sure I'm in my inbox. Am I in my inbox? Yes, I am in my inbox. Let's sync this. Cross our fingers. There it is. Everything has come through. Look, now the note that I just clipped from the web is available to me here within Evernote. And I can access it. I can start to share it. I can start to work with it. I can just file it away for future reference. Now it's inventory. It's added to the value of Evernote. One of the keys to really getting your head around using Evernote is you've got to use Evernote to get advantage out of Evernote. The more that we put into Evernote, the more information we save, the more equity we have in Evernote, the more valuable it is to us. So we're all going to reach a tipping point as we start to create our Evernote account where we're putting data in and we're not getting a lot out of Evernote. But all of a sudden, the day is going to come when you're looking for a piece of information that used to take you a long time or that you don't know where it is, and there it is in Evernote, and all of a sudden the light bulb's going to go off and you're going to go, I get it. The more I invest, the more I put in, the more I can get out. Now we'll talk about data structure and search and all that sort of stuff in a few moments, but I want to continue this metaphor or continue this story of my day and how data and Evernote fits in the day. So I've now done my research in the morning, I've gathered a whole bunch of information together, and I'm ready to go out and start meeting people and doing business out and about. So the next thing that I want to do is I'm heading out to a meeting, a business meeting. And while I'm in the meeting, while I'm talking to this person, something comes up. Let me just, oh, that's okay. While I'm talking to whoever it is I'm meeting with, he mentions that his kids are going back to school, and he's really concerned about their homework. And I said, I saw an app. I saw an app this morning. Now, in the old days, you'd say, when I get back to the office, I'll try and find that and send it to you. That's so lame. Here is the way that we do this. Now, let me just bring up and start sharing my smartphone with you. There we go. And I've got an Apple iPhone that we're running here, 4S for those of you who are into what model and make. So there's my iPhone screen. Now, what I do is if we're in the middle of that conversation, is I'm going to say, oh, I know where it is. I've got it in Evernote. Let me just open my Evernote account and let me go into my notebooks here, jump into my inbox, and there, seconds ago in real time that we did, or maybe a few hours ago in our model time that we're talking about right now, is the same note. Let me show you. Let me give it to you. There's the note available to share instantly. This is so empowering. Having the knowledge that you, or the digital assets that you've acquired and researched available to you wherever you are, whenever you are, ready to share it instantly or access it to use it in any way, shape, or form instantly. That to me is the heart of what Evernote is. Let's keep going though, because there's still a few other steps that we have to go through before we're even done with this first little bit. So now we're still in the same meeting. They're awfully impressed with us because we've just given them some great information that's going to help their kids out in school this year, and we decide that we're working on a project together. Or I need to make a note about something that's coming out of the meeting that we're in. So I'm going to use my smartphone to create a note in Evernote. No surprises there. It's a simple, straightforward process. We often make notes on our phones, but here's the problem. I hate typing in my I hate typing on the keyboard in Evernote on my phone. My thumbs just don't do a good job. So I take advantage. When I said Evernote takes advantage of different operating systems, they take great advantage of the voice recognition capabilities in both Android and the Mac in the iOS. So if you look down at the very bottom of this screen, at the very bottom of this phone screen, you're going to see the little microphone icon. So a very important note. By tapping on that, it goes into dictation mode. And Siri does a great job of reading text. Of course, right now it's not doing it. Isn't that awesome? I tested this out like 350 times beforehand. I'm just going to cancel that. Let's do it again. A very important note. Don't let me down, Siri. Do not let me down. Oh, shoot me now. Okay. You know, the best laid plans of mice and men. I'm going to try one more little bit of dictation. I'm testing the voice dictation system built into Apple's Siri, and for some reason it is not connecting right now. I wonder if it's because, you know what? You're going to have to humor me for 2 seconds. I thought I would be smart and turn off at the beginning and turn off. Oh no, I don't do it there. Let's do it here, and turn off the. Put it in airplane mode. But let me turn off airplane mode, and let's see if Siri works. And maybe it was the fact that I was just on Wi-Fi and Siri wasn't working. I don't know if that's the case. I've never actually tested that before. So let's go back into Evernote and continue on with my live demo. Okay, are you getting the phone? No, you're not getting the phone. Back to the phone, AirPlay, Steve's. Turn on mirroring. There we go. All right. How's your day going? My day just got more exciting. There we go. Okay, now let's try dictation again. Please work for me. A very important note. This sucks. For some reason, Siri's server seems to be down, or it's not serving. One last test of a very important note. I should just run you the video that I did. I pre-recorded this just in case. It's not going to work. Normally, and you're going to have to just trust me on this, what would be happening here is the voice recognition would have worked, and Siri would have saved the note, and it would have sent it back into Evernote. And I'm going to test this again. I'm not going to waste the time. We only have an hour. That's the challenge of doing live demos. Woohoo! Way to go, Steve. 99% of the time, this does work, and what will happen is when we sync the note, it will come back and it will be available to us back on Evernote, available to us to use and be able to access it when we return to Evernote. So let me just check my notes here because now that has completely thrown me off my game. Okay, so normally what I would be doing is showing you how amazing it is to have that note back and available in Evernote, but I'm obviously not going to do that right now. Thank you, iOS. Once again, you come through for me just when I need you. Back in Evernote, now we've synced all of our information. So let's look at the pieces of the puzzle that we theoretically just showed you. So the first piece is we did some content curation. We did some research in the morning. We gathered some information, stored it in our Evernote. Now it becomes a digital asset that we can return to. We're not too sure when we're going to need that information, but it's available to us for the future. Then we went out and had a meeting. And lo and behold, that information became relevant. We were able to call it up on our phone, share it immediately with whoever it is we're working with. Then we made some new notes. And theoretically, we were able to save those notes using voice dictation, but regardless, I could have typed in the note if Siri wasn't working. It's just I vastly prefer to use voice dictation when I'm doing this sort of stuff. And then I save the note back into my Evernote account where now I can return to the office and I can start to work with that information, and it, again, becomes a digital asset. If Evernote only did those three things that we just talked about, it would be an amazing tool. But that's just the tip of the iceberg as far as the Evernote puzzle, as far as the different ways it works. But if you just use it for those functions and for those tasks, you're going to be way ahead of the game as far as how organized you are and how much more efficient you are as a result. Now, let me stay in Evernote for a moment, and let's talk a little bit about the Evernote data structure, because beyond the fact that a lot of people are confused at the beginning about what Evernote is, another stop point in people engaging in Evernote is figuring out how they should organize Evernote. And we waste an awful lot of cycles trying to figure out what Evernote should look like, how many notebooks we should have, what we should name those notebooks, and the naming convention for our notebooks as we work in Evernote. And I want to poke a hole in that balloon right away, because it's not nearly as important to have all sorts of organization in Evernote as far as file structure, notebooks, and naming convention for notes, because Evernote is a search-based technology. Evernote is going to search through everything on your computer and everything in Evernote and find it. When we first set up organizational systems on our computer, we were stuck in the real world metaphor. Computers weren't good at searching, so we took the real world with filing cabinets and folders and document names, and we transplanted that into the computer world. So we built really elaborate organizational systems with files and folders, one nesting inside of the other, because when we needed to retrieve information back in the day, we would do it visually. We would search through our computer. We would click on a directory. We would click on a folder. We would click on a nested folder, and then we would look for the naming convention of the file name in order to find the file that we wanted. We needed that organizational structure because we had to be the search engine. Our brain, our melon, was the search engine, and we would navigate through the tree of information to get to the data we wanted. And some of us were better at that than others, but we all wasted an awful lot of time retrieving information. Search-based technology changes all that. Evernote is at its heart a search engine. So everything that is stored in Evernote, we can search. And depending if you have the premium or the regular version of it, it will even search inside of attachments. If you have a PDF that was sent to you by email and you're searching for it in the email, and based on the text of the PDF, you'll never find that because email search can't look inside the document. Evernote search looks inside the document, it looks outside the document, it looks everywhere. It looks at the metadata, the tags that we put in, looks at the notebooks that we put it in, it looks at the content of the note itself, and it even goes through the graphics, like this graphic note that I have up, and it OCRs that so that within a day or two, when you're searching, all of the text that's embedded in photos or in images will also be searchable in Evernote. So the skill that you're going to learn in Evernote is more of search and retrieval rather than organizational filing. So I tell people, start with just your inbox. Don't even bother creating a second notebook. And in fact, Evernote only supports a couple of layers of notes, of data. It supports stacks of notebooks, and notes. Those are the only three types of data that we have in Evernote. So we can't create an elaborate hierarchical structure. Getting your heads around that is another big step in the hurdle towards understanding the Evernote puzzle. So the people who need lots of structure and organization, they can have lots of notebooks, but typically speaking, you're never going to search for information by browsing visually for whatever it is you are looking for. Now, going back into our notes itself, there's three different types of, the notes can contain images, text, voice memos, PDF documents. It can contain all those sorts of data within the notes, but there's also two different types of notes beyond the static note or the regular note that we create. We can use Evernote to create simple reminders. Now, this isn't a full-featured task and to-do list manager, but it does create reminders that we can do by clicking and taking this note here. If I click in the top right-hand corner here on the little clock icon, which is the reminder switch, if I turn that on, it then takes this note and allows me to add a date when the note is going to be brought back to my attention. And it'll email me an update, and it'll also use the system to say, reminder, you have this. So it's a very simple reminder system that you can create simple reminders with. You can also create lists with it, and this is a really nice implementation. So if I wanted to make a list of these items, all I do is highlight the items, and there's a little checkbox here that allows me to turn on to create checkboxes in front of the text, so that now I can check things off as I get things done. So that works really nicely with reminders. Now, a cool thing is the checkbox feature, actually other people have figured out ways to use the checkboxes to mark information that should be exported into some other applications, which we'll be talking about after the break when we're talking about integration. So there's some very cool things to come as far as the types of data are concerned. But that's the basic structure of data and search within Evernote. Now, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to jump back in. You know what? Should we try one more time? Let's just go back into the iPhone. Humor me for a second. Is this working, or am I a total buffoon for trying? Exclamation mark. Oh, there it is. Yeah, okay, I missed the word total. But there you can see that Siri is finally working for me. Where were you when I needed you, Miss Siri? Oh, my goodness gracious. Okay, let's go back into and bring up my video again because we're through the first part of this. So let me go to, where is it? Let's go to, there. No, that's not what I wanted. I should have known. That's what I want right there. Let me move the mouse this out of the way so I can find my Google Hangout. There's my Hangout, and let us stop sharing. And I'm back. I'm back. Are you guys still there? Did I lose everybody with that Siri thing? Let me just check in the chat. How are things going in chat? Are people laughing at me in chat? No, they're still there. Okay. Okay. So let's begin the quick break that we have, and I'm just perfectly on time with the poll result. I'm going to open the poll again, and I'm going to end the poll, and I'm going to make the results public at the end of the poll. So I'm ending the poll now. You're watching me work on it. So 20% of you are raw beginners. 40% of you using it daily for some things. 12% are heavy users, and I hope that even you're going to learn something today, and the rest of you are mixed up. So that is awesome sauce. That's good stuff. Why did I say awesome sauce twice? It's because I watched Parks and Rec, and they said it. I watched an episode last night as I was decompressing. Okay, so we're going to move on with other pieces of the puzzle, but we've now looked at the Evernote structure and a kind of a cycle of how information flows through Evernote and how we can access it on a regular basis. So now I'm going to ask you folks for a quick little favor. As I said, I'm doing this webinar how many times over the next couple of days? 6 more times after today. And so there's always room for more people. If you are enjoying learning from me in this webinar and you think it's something that your friends might be interested in, and you're one of those Twitter folks, I'm going to ask you to share with your Twitter community that you're taking this webinar right now. This is a really cool app. This is called Click to Tweet, and all you have to do is click on the Check It Out button down there, and it will launch your Twitter account. It's kind of creepy, I know, but it's not that creepy. It'll launch your Twitter, and then you can edit the post and then tweet it out. And here is the reward. I'm going to follow the hashtag that I've put into that, and if you tweet it out, and I'm going to choose one person, and you are going to win. I'm going to turn off my phone here because people are already starting to tweet it out. Thank you very much. Let me stop this so that it's not popping up all the time and bothering me. And my phone is just going to keep beeping here, which is awesome. Thank you so much. You get a chance to win an Evernote Moleskine notebook. That's the prize that I'm going to deliver at the end. Is I'm going to choose one person who's tweeted this out and helping me celebrate and publicize this webinar, and you're going to win an Evernote Moleskine notebook, which is an awesome tool. I'll be talking about that a little bit later. But if you really want to know more about it, check out my YouTube channel and watch the videos on it there. Move my phone to the side there. Let me check my notes here. I've got to make sure that I'm on the break. I've done the poll. I've done the click to tweet. Okay. For any of you who are running busy, or you might be having some technical issues, or things or life is interrupting now, we've got about another half hour we're going to show, and I'm going to show you some way cool integration with Evernote, and also how we use it for collaboration when we come back when we return to the demo part. At the very end, I'll be answering a few questions, and I'll also be talking to you about a course that I've developed on Evernote that you might be interested in. So the last few minutes are going to be talking about a course as well. But if you do need to leave, an email is going to be sent to you within about a half an hour, within 2 hours of the end of this webinar, with a complete replay of this webinar, as well as any links that I'm talking about during the webinar. So if you have to go, I'll be sorry to see you go. How many of you are still here? Let's just take a look. Or how many of you are here now? We had a super turnout. We have 298 people. 2 people under 300. That's still a record. It's an awesomely good webinar as far as I'm concerned. I hope you're enjoying as well. So I think I can dive back in. My phone is going nuts. I should have turned off the baking, but I know people are tweeting. I might trend on Twitter for the first time in my life. That would be awesome. Thank you very much for helping that happen. So let's get back into it. Since time is, we don't want to waste time. So I'm going to share my screen again. We're going to go through this whole awful process of sharing the Evernote screen and then jumping over into here. Let's just close that down. That's not what we need now. What am I? Oh, I know. Let's get back into my Evernote account. And let's talk next about collaboration. And let's talk about integration. So integration with Evernote. Evernote has become such a phenomenon and so popular in the marketplace that many, many companies are now deciding that they, I wish maybe can I turn this phone down? Sorry, there we go. Good. Oh no, it's not turning it down. I should have thought this through before and turned off my tweeting Bing when there's a tweet with my name in it. It gets a little bit irritating, doesn't it? Bing, bing, bing. I don't know if it was my mic was picking that up, but I was picking it up. Where was I? Collaboration. Evernote is reaching out to the community, and they are making their platform quite open and partnering with many different organizations, making Evernote accessible, because Evernote is sort of the jack of all trades and master of none. It's a great place for us to store, archive, and retrieve information, but not necessarily the best place for us to manage that information and to work with it on a daily and to work with it. So, returning back to my note here, let me give a few examples first. LinkedIn, just recently, Evernote announced a partnership with LinkedIn where you can take a photo of use Evernote and the Evernote camera to scan in business cards on the fly, and then it links those business cards. It scans in the business card and links it with your LinkedIn account, and automatically creates a connection between you and the person who you've scanned in, which is brilliant implementation. So it helps with your address book, it helps with your social connections in business. It all does all that through just taking a picture of a person's business card. Great integration there. And I have a video on that on the Dottotech YouTube channel. If you haven't checked it out, there's a really nice video on that. Another piece of integration recently is Evernote, the Moleskine notebook, the same notebook that I'm going to be giving you. It integrates with Evernote where we can take pictures of our notes as we go along, and it will automatically categorize and add tags or demark which notebook the notes that we're capturing images of or scanning in go to. So there's some beautiful integration, and this is all at Evernote level. These are tools that are built right into Evernote. Now, some cases, though, the data that we collect in Evernote really should be dealt with in a different application. So let's take, for example, using Evernote in a business meeting. As I'm sure many of you have thought, Evernote, or you do, Evernote's a great place to pound away taking notes while you're in a meeting. And so you can be working away, but if you think about meeting notes, a lot of the notes that you create in meetings are tasks and to-dos. Now, Evernote has the reminders feature, but it's not really robust. It's not really designed to be a full-fledged task and to-do list manager. For that, you want to use a team tool like Asana or Trello or one of those Basecamp, something like that that is far more robust and has an audit trail and has sharing and all those sorts of things built into it as well. So Evernote has, a company called Task Clone has recognized that fact, and they've created a tool that you can sign up for that basically creates a conduit between your Evernote account and whatever task list manager you might be using. And this is ingenious. I'm going to walk you through the process to show you how it works. So let's say that we've been working our way through our notes in a business meeting, you and I have a task that I have to do, which is to remember to thank my attendees for tweeting. And I got to thank you so much. I'm going to do it right now. Thank you. Then my Twitter's been going crazy. I'm going to be the most popular guy online. So thank you for tweeting. All I do is I go and I make a checkbox. By adding a checkbox, I'm telling Evernote that this is a task. I want it to become a task that I share with my task and to-do list manager. Now, in my case, my task manager is a program called Asana, which is a great free team task manager. But if I did that with every check mark, then my Asana would be full of all sorts of lists that I create in Evernote. So remember how I mentioned tags can look outward and can create actions outside of Evernote? I have a tag that I've created as I set up my Task Clone account called it To Asana. Asana 2, and there it is right there, To Asana. And if I tag this note with that tag and then sync it to my Evernote web services, there's an API level integration. There's an integration between Task Clone, my account in Task Clone, and Evernote. And if we go back and take a look, Task Clone will tell me that it got the information from Evernote by adding the little TC to that reminder. See, that just happened through the syncing process. I didn't type that in. That just happened. So what's happened now is if we go over into Asana, this is my Asana account, when I open it up, as soon as it refreshes, that note should appear, and there it is, right there, Evernote. Remember to thank the attendees for tweeting. There it is right there now in a task. Now, the best thing about this is once it's in your task manager, you can assign it to somebody else. That is the bonus that we all have, because my task manager is a team task manager, so I can start sending it to my team members spread all over the world. But I'm going to do this one myself. Now, once again, thank you very much for tweeting. Not only can you integrate this with any of over 40 task managers, But you can also use this technology, this technique. Oh, sorry, it also created, because I had all those other ones indexed here, that also created little tasks for each one. You have to be careful. Only use the checkboxes in a note if you're going to, for things that are going to be tasks. You don't want to make a list. But going back, what was I saying? Oh, brain fart. You can use this not only for doing tasks, but you can also create calendar entries, only into Google Calendar at this point here, but you can create appointments and agenda items, appointments out of the notes that you create in Evernote. So we see this integration now starting to happen with other services, with things like Post-it Note, with Moleskine, with LinkedIn. We see Evernote integrating with those, and then we also see them integrating with other tools that we use online, such as our Team and Task Manager, Asana, and I have another integration that I use on a daily basis with my social media dashboard. Hootsuite also allows me to install an Evernote plugin in it that allows me to have all of my Evernote notes as a stream in Hootsuite, which means that I can use them in a variety of ways as I manage my daily social media. Once again, Evernote sits just at the heart of everything else, and what's important is the information in Evernote, not necessarily the Evernote interface, the application that I'm accessing it in, because now I'm using that data in other applications outside of Evernote. That, my friends, is a key part of the Evernote puzzle. The final piece of the puzzle that we're going to talk about today is collaboration, and I find this tremendously exciting. Any notes that we create in Evernote, we can share with others. So you can use it to just share and to extend your network and to extend your communications. If you're an Evernote Premium user, you can also take entire notebooks and you can create shared notebooks with your team so that other people can make changes to your notes. And now the mind boggles at the things that we can start to do. Let me show you that process, because it is dead simple. If I wanted to share this note here, all I do is I click on the little sharing icon up here in the very top of the window. And there I can copy a share URL. When I copy a share URL from a note, what it does is a very special sequence starts to happen. The first thing is Evernote in its web services says, this is a shared note. I'm going to flip the switch in this and make it so that other people can view this note in their web browser. And then it copies that URL onto into my clipboard. So if I now go to the web, open up a clean browser window, paste the URL that is the share URL in, everybody out there can then view the note that we just created. Now this isn't a very sexy note. There's no graphics or anything, but all I have to do is email that link or post that link, and people can view the note. Now remember back at the very beginning when I talked about how we can start to share some of this information in social media? If I wanted to share this, where's the photo there? There's the photo. If I wanted to share this and tweet this out, I can post this link directly to Twitter or LinkedIn, or I'm just going to copy the share URL for that, and I'm going to show you what would happen when people click on that link within my status update or my post. They get to see that. You get to share the graphic, you share the meme, you share the infographic, you share whatever information is in your note with others. And then if you edit this note, you can share it and people can see it looking differently. You can modify the note as you go along. Now, if we look at what Evernote has done, we've collected all sorts of information into our Evernote account. We've managed it, we've shared it with individuals, and now it extends our network and allows us to take that same information that's now stored in Evernote and share it with entire networks. That is incredibly powerful. But it doesn't end there, because we can also take these notes, and if I click on the same menu item, I can share the entire notebook that I'm working in. Now it'll give me a warning saying, are you sure you want to share this notebook? And I'm going to say yes. And then you invite individuals to share the notebook, and then they can edit the notebook or they can just view the notebook. But you can create an editable notebook that your team members can work on or your clients can work on you with. So you can create documents that you work together in Evernote on. And it's this collaboration that's the last piece of the puzzle that I want to talk to you about today. As a matter of fact, it's as I discovered this feature and sharing notes this way and was playing with sharing notes that I struck upon the idea of how I wanted to deliver the course that I'm going to be talking about in a few minutes, because I've created a simple course. I'll just foreshadow a moment. A little course called Evernote Made Easy. It's 10 parts, but every module I release as a shared note in Evernote. So you start to use Evernote right from the beginning. But I create the modules in Evernote, share them with the students that are taking the course, and then so they are actually using Evernote and then saving all of those notes into a custom notebook so they've got a textbook at the end. This sharing metaphor is simply awesome within Evernote, and you'll figure out some wonderful ways to implement it. I could go on and on about the sharing app, but we're actually at the three-quarter pole of the webinar, so that was the last part. So let me just jump back into the Hangout itself, and let me stop the screen sharing here, and let me go back to Steve, because hopefully I don't need to do any more demoing. So let's kind of recreate the cycle of the different pieces. We talked about using Evernote for curating information, for collecting information. Basically with Evernote, now you can be an information vacuum, just sucking information in from the world around you that is relevant to you that you want to store. From web browsers, you can create notes yourself on your camera, on your phone. You can use the image capture device on your phone to capture more information. You could use a scanner. However information comes in, you can email information into Evernote. Evernote has a built-in email account that you can send emails to. So I do that with every time I get a receipt or an invoice, I email it to Evernote and I store it in my accounting folder in Evernote. That's how I organize all of my books. It's awesome for that kind of stuff. So now it's this information vacuum, sucking it all in, allowing us to add some simple structure to it, which we really don't have to spend too much time worrying about, at least not at the beginning. As you get more and more information in Evernote, you might want to think about adding layers of structure, but for the most part, just having it in Evernote means that you're going to be able to find it because of the powerful search capabilities. Finding it means that you can share it, not only with individuals, but with entire networks. You can create collaboration with others, and you can also integrate Evernote with other apps, such as your task and to-do list manager and your calendar or your social media dashboard. That is the whole Evernote puzzle, at least as far as I'm concerned. Now, you'll develop some other techniques and some other ways of using Evernote. As I said, this webinar is all about how I use Evernote and how I put it together. You'll be able to figure out some other ways to use Evernote, but that is the basic structure and the basic puzzle pieces that I wanted to cover. Let me look into my hard copy notes to make sure that I covered everything that I wanted to in this second part before we start getting into questions and before I tell you about the course. That's it. So I have a question for you. What is next? I've been working hard on developing a brand new course that I'm really excited to tell you about. I actually tested this technology, this way of sharing, this way of delivering a course in a little boutique course that I did teaching people how to grow their YouTube channel. So I did a 40-part course that I just completed early this month, where I had students and I shared every lesson was an email that they were sent that had a shared Evernote note in it. Now the beauty of this is as I change the information in that course, all of the students can refresh their notebook and they can see the latest information. And I'm going to be doing that exact same thing with this. So I was wrong. I got to go back into screen sharing again one more time and share it. And let's go here to solving the Evernote puzzle. Let's get to there it is right there. And I should check to make sure I'm screen sharing. Am I screen sharing? Yes, I am. Good. Where was I? I was there. As I work my way around, this is the live webinar thing. Okay, so what's next? There we are. It is this 10-part course. Basically, this is a 10-lesson course that is a shared Evernote note that I'm sending you once a day for 10 consecutive days, which is a brain dump. Everything I know about Evernote. Now, I'm not going to tell you how to organize your notebook. You're going to have to figure out how you use Evernote yourself. I'm going to show you what you can do with Evernote and open every nook and cranny and every feature and show it to you in context in Evernote as I go through this. Every day you're going to get, as I say, a shared note. You save them into your notebook, and at the end of the course, at the end of 10 days, you end up with an Evernote textbooks. Basically, and free updates for life, because as long as Evernote releases new features, as new functionality comes in, I will be adding to those notes as I go along, because this course I'm going to be continuing to sell for quite some time to come. So I'm always going to be making sure that it's as up to date as possible, and you benefit from that by having the course content always updated as well. the bottom line is, if you take the course, you're going to start to develop an Evernote habit. Evernote is a good habit, but we have to get into the routine of putting the information in. Experts tell us it takes about 30 days for a habit to become entrenched. So this is the deal. You spend the 10 days. It'll probably take you 12 or 13 days because you're not going to read the emails every single day. But you go through the course and you're already opening Evernote every day, thinking about things and starting to get into the routine of saving. And you're saving at least one important note into Evernote every single day. By the end of 30 days, if Evernote hasn't become an incredibly valuable tool, or if you aren't using it more effectively than ever, then I'm going to offer you your money back. I'm going to ask you to try it for a month, try using Evernote more for a month, take the course, work your way through it. At the end of a month, if it doesn't work for you, then I don't want your money. It was time well spent on your part learning that Evernote isn't for you, but I don't think you should have to spend money on that. It's for you if you find yourself doing any of those things that I was talking about earlier. If you click on a web page and then email it to yourself, if you've done that in the last month, you need Evernote and you need this course. If you're the sort of person that gathers information from a whole variety of different places, you need this course if you're writing it down on pieces of paper. If you've spent more than 20 minutes searching for a document on your computer in the last month and you didn't find it, or you found it in a place you didn't think, this course is for you. You need to use Evernote for all of those things because it makes you more efficient, it makes you more productive, and the bottom line is it makes you less stressed because everything is in its place. You know where things are supposed to be and you're able to access them when they're in that place. It's awesome for that. So the course itself, 10 emails in 10 days, it's about 30 minutes per day. Some of the days are a little longer, a few are a tiny bit shorter. There's about 50 videos currently in the course. You get access to a Facebook group where we'll have conversations, and most questions I'm going to direct to the Facebook group so everybody gets to see the answers. A 30-day guarantee, unlimited updates, and I'm charging $97 for it. Now, everybody says you should be adding all sorts of bonuses to this. Here's the bonus. Evernote will become the tool that you use, and you will thank me every day if indeed you pass the 30 days and it becomes part of your life. If not, then you don't have to worry about Evernote again because it's not going to work for you. If you give it the old college try, give Evernote a shot, try and populate information, learn to start to return to Evernote, and it really doesn't work in your day-to-day life, then it's time well spent that you know that you don't have to return to it and you've got to find some other better system for helping you become organized. Personally, I haven't found a better system than Evernote. That's why I developed this course, and that's why I'm happy to promote it. I've never really promoted anything quite as aggressively as I'm willing to promote this course. I'm proud of it, and I think Evernote, I'm also excited because Evernote has the ability to make things better. I don't want to be too maudlin about this, but it does have the ability to make you better at what you do. And that, my friends, as far as I'm concerned, is a pretty great gift. So let me get you into where you go if you want to register for the course. Let me go back into my pop-ins. So here's where you go. Let me pull out that, remove that, and then I have to put in, there it is. So here's the link that you go to if you are interested. I should have had that up earlier, shouldn't I? Good sales, Steve. There we go. There's the link. If you want more information, I've got a complete course syllabus at this link. There's a little video that talks a little bit about a teaser that talks about what I'm covering in the course, but it talks about all the features, all the benefits, gives you more information on the delivery of the course, and really, as I say, with a 30-day money-back guarantee, you've completed the course within 10 days. It's fairly intense, about a half an hour a day going through the content, but at the end of it, you will have an appreciation for all of the things Evernote can do for you, and you'll be well on the way to integrating Evernote daily in your lives. I also do direct you to a few of the really high-end systems that if you want to learn chapter and verse, this is the best way. This is the best way to have your tags set up. This is the best way to have your folder set up. We cover that in it, but I think most people like to figure that system out for themselves. It makes it much more intimate as far as they're concerned. So we show you both ways. There's really two kind of ways to learn to master Evernote. At the end of it, you will be an Evernote ninja. You know what? To return to my metaphor at the beginning, you'll be an Evernote chef. You'll be able to cook up anything you want that tastes good in your life in Evernote. Metaphor doesn't work all that well in that space there. So I encourage you to visit, take a look, and sign up for the course if it's something that's interesting to you. So let me go back in and see. We've got 7 minutes left, so I've got enough time to pop into chat and see if I can answer a few questions. So you cannot say, okay, Do you need the paid version of Evernote for the course, or will the free version be enough? The free version is definitely enough, and we actually talk in the course about some ways that you can get the paid version for free. For instance, if you go into the Evernote Moleskine notebook and you purchase 4 notebooks a year, 1 per quarter, every time you buy that notebook, you get a code for 3 months of free Evernote. Now, the paid Evernote, for 3 months of premium Evernote. The paid version is $45 a year, and the things that you can't do in it is there's a little bit less security. With the premium version, you can set an extra level of security on your mobile phone. You have a little bit more storage, but the biggest thing is the ability to share notebooks. If collaboration isn't important to you, then the premium version probably isn't, you don't need it. You don't need the premium version to get everything out of the course, though. So some people still can't see the link. Okay, you know what I'm going to do is, if you can't see the link, I'm just going to jump in. Let me just grab the link right here. I'm going to grab it. I'm going to paste it. I'm going to be copy it. I'm going to paste it into the chat box here as well. So anybody that wasn't able to see the link down at the bottom, there's the link in the chat so that you can get to it as well. I wonder if the people who couldn't see the link can tell me what they're viewing this in, or do you have the sidebar on the side? Well, obviously you see chat. That's interesting that you weren't able to see the chat. Okay, to see it. So let's go through a few other questions. How much do you trust using Evernote for sensitive personal information, medical and financial information? Cindy, sorry, she sent it as a private message and now I've outed her. Great question. Evernote has the ability for us to create private notebooks as well as public notebooks. Your private notebooks is where you should store all of that information because it is not synced to the web, meaning that you can't access it from your mobile device. If you save it as a private notebook on your desktop or notebook, it's only available to you on that desktop or notebook computer. And how secure is the information and how private is the information online? This is my manifesto on privacy on the internet. The internet and the web, the cloud, is 100% secure for anything which does not need to be secure. There. Did I help? Your personal information, passwords are not a thing to store in Evernote. Your medical information, not a thing to store in your shared version of Evernote. Passwords not in any version of Evernote. Use a tool like LastPass or something if you have passwords that you want to track. Personal information, private information, no, don't store that in the cloud. Just use local notebooks for it. Did I discuss syncing? You have lots of problems with syncing, and you've lost notes. And also you can't tag in the iPhone app. Is that covered? I do talk about syncing and backing up. We do cover that within the course. People that have had trouble syncing, sometimes you just got to clean things out. You got to clean out all the old syncs. Usually, if there's a problem, there's a problem report with a note that you can always recover the notes, and also you can recover them from the trash often. Sometimes you've accidentally put something in the trash if you've lost a note. We do talk about syncing. It's not really a troubleshooting course. Instead, it's a possibilities. We talk about the possibilities and how we use Evernote. But at the end of it, you will know Evernote intimately, and you certainly should be able to solve all of those issues that you're having. And another good place is the Facebook group. As it gets going, those sorts of questions where people are having issues syncing, those are the sorts of things I'm going to encourage people to share in the Facebook group. I will respond, but having others who have similar problems respond should make that community and should add to the value of that community there as well. Next question that I've got. I just read in Cora about the founder of Evernote and how he uses it. If yours is disorganized, read this, but not overly organized according to him. But not a problem, he says, with a few features coming. Organization is in the eye of the beholder. For me, I don't mind seeing notes that are not connected in the same screen, as long as when I search, I find the note that I want. So the levels of organization that you're going to impart on your own personal Evernote account are going to be up to you. I refer to a site in this course, a great site for people who are fans of getting things done, of Dave Allen's productivity system. And there's a wonderful implementation called The Secret Weapon, and people that use it they like the short one. So Getting Things Done are GTD people, and they like TSW, The Secret Weapon. But there, on that site, they walk you for free, chapter and verse, through setting up your Evernote account to follow the Getting Things Done system. And they, in that case, don't use Evernote so much for archiving and storing the information, but they use it to help information and information flow work through your day. So your notes are moving from tag to tag as they're being moved through your system. It's a really great system. You really have to dive in deep and follow the entire system to make it work brilliantly for you, but I talk about that, even that level of detail. Personally, I like a little bit less structure, and I kind of like having built my own Evernote system. So let me go and see about some other questions. Do you set an Evernote address direct send to email? Oh, that's covered in the course, asking how you set your Evernote address. I'm not going to show you here in demo because it'll bring up my Evernote address and I can't blur it. But basically in Evernote, you just go into the, let me just take a look in Evernote so I'll tell you the actual menu that you go into. You go into Evernote and you go into Account Info. And in Account Info, there'll be a little underneath how much storage you're using is email notes to, and it'll be something at m.evernote.com. That's the Evernote email address. Now what she's asking is, your Evernote account has an actual email address that you can send things to from email. So if you're out and about, you can actually ask people to email things directly into your Evernote account, or I use it by forwarding every receipt, every invoice that comes in, everything that I need to save, and I want to move it out of my email because I'm a big fan of Inbox Zero. Anything that's important that I want to save but not in my email, I email it into my Evernote account. And you can even add tags and notebook structure into the subject title of the note so that it appears in the correct place using the email feature. It's a brilliant feature. We go into it deep in the course. We talk a lot about it in the course. There's a brand new course by Dave Allen on GTD at lynda.com. Lynda.com is a superb place to take courses. Not as good as my course, but nearly as good. Actually, they are. They are the standard as far as wonderful content. And if you do want to learn, I'm sure there's some great Evernote courses on lynda.com as well. I'd love to see a comparison as long as it's favorable in my favor of that particular course. You need clarification about the use of tags and how to organize them for search. That's a little bit of a confusing thing about using Evernote tags. When you search in Evernote, you don't actually search tags. That's one of the one of the unique things about Evernote search is it doesn't search tags. You actually have to tell Evernote to search tags if you want to search based on the tag and collect all the notes that are under a certain tag. Search just searches the text and the title of the document, not the tags themselves. So typically speaking, most of us go a little bit tag nuts when we're setting up our Evernote account. We create way too many tags at the beginning, and we don't end up using those tags, and we don't come up with a good tagging convention. I talk about coming up with a good tag naming convention for you, and for me, for the most part, tags are just for really high level stuff where I've got, for instance, my demos, where I want to be able to pull a whole bunch of different research together at one time. That's where I use the tags to basically collect all sorts of information that's all related. Or I use it for the outward bound stuff that we saw where I was using TaskClone, where a tag demarks that this should go out to my calendar or to my to-do list manager, and the tag should head outward bound that way. Next question that I'm looking at is, Tom, I thought was coming at the start of the webinar on the countdown system, but it started about 24 minutes into the course. Oh, I don't know. I don't know what happened there. There will be, if you are having, how am I doing for time? Oh, I'm over time. If you are having any issues with the replay or you didn't get it all, you're going to get a full replay sent in an email in about 2 hours. So for those of you that have to leave, I apologize for going a little bit over already. You're going to get an email in about 2 hours. There'll actually be a series of 3 emails coming to you over the next couple of days reminding you about the course and giving you the replay link if you want to watch the replay. Instead of sharing the replay link with your friends, I encourage you to get them to sign up for the webinar so that I can properly pitch them on my course. That's the kind of the quid pro quo here. But by all means, share this with as many people as you want that are interested in Evernote. I am going to stick around. I'll stay in video for a little bit of time and answer questions, but if you do want to disconnect right now, I will not be offended in any way, shape, or form because I think that we've covered as much as I can cover in an hour. I hope you found this webinar to be useful. It's my goal to create information-dense webinars that you learn a lot with. Whenever you're doing live demos, there's some challenges as we had today, but I hope that I gave you a really good idea and you have a better picture in your mind of what the Evernote puzzle looks like. I'll be in touch with you by email, and until next time, have fun storming the castle. And for the rest of you that are sticking around, I will stick around in here for a few minutes and answer some questions. Do I cover sophisticated search? Yes, we cover sophisticated search, and I refer you to documents. Rather than, I did a video on it, and actually I did a collaborative video with a buddy of mine, Brooks Duncan, on search techniques. But there's some documents that I refer to on advanced search because really you have to kind of keep looking back at a document to get the syntax right. So that there, rather than just having video, we have some supporting documents in the course as well. I mentioned Roger's saying you mentioned you collaborate using shared notes. We tried this as well, but it is one-way syncing. Things become difficult. Okay, so yes, Roger, what Roger's saying and is I'm sorry, you've already buzzed down beneath my horizon there. But what you were saying is if you're just sharing a note, if you create a shared note link and you share it with others, when they open that note and save that note does not automatically update on their system, so they actually end up with if you've changed the note, they end up with an older version. In that case, you want to use a shared notebook which will update constantly and dynamically update. Or there's a really cool workaround that I figured out for my course. Should I share it with you? I will share it with you. At the very top of my course, at the very top of each page in the course, I have a refresh link. And the refresh link is the URL. It's the fresh version is the URL. And if you click and refresh it, it will then bring up a refreshed version of it. If you just open the note in Evernote, it hasn't refreshed because it's still got the old version. If you refresh it by clicking the link, by embedding the share URL in the note, you will be able to refresh. Isn't that cool? It's kind of a ninja trick. I'm glad that I'm glad I was able to figure it out, and now you can use that as well. Good stuff, as always, Mike. I appreciate it. NL, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm going to have fun looking back in the chat here because I'm going to see what everybody had to say. Let me try again. Save. Oh, Michael, save. Oh, so Michael, you're helping somebody else out. Thanks, Steve. You've been a fan for a while. I love your personality too, Don, I think. And I make it more entertaining. That's excellent. I'm just taking a look through, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of questions at the very surface. I've got time for a few more quick questions if you want. And then what I'll do, just so you know, is I'm going to stop the video feed going here, and then I'll remain in chat for a little while. Jamie, sorry I came late. Well, will there be any way to view the webinar somewhere later? Yes, Jamie, you're going to get an email in about 2 hours with the entire webinar replay so that you can view it at your leisure, sir. Okay. Phil, I have a size limit exceeded note every few seconds referring to a note that I can't find. Okay. Phil, I am not Evernote tech support. That was something I would refer to them. Or that's the sort of thing that you can also post if you join the course in our Facebook group. But there's a really vibrant Evernote support forum that you can post that question in, and people are pretty quick to respond to you there. So I encourage you to go to Evernote and go into the communities there in Evernote and take a look there. By the way, Fraser Morrison, who's sitting there in the beautiful Maritimes here in Canada, and donating time, I have to thank you very much. I hope that you've kept the crowd in order, sir. Okay. Can I provide more detail on task loan? Indeed, I can. If you visit my YouTube channel, there's a video on setting it up, which is a little bit older version, but still, most of it carries forward. There's a couple of changes. In the course itself, I go chapter and verse through an entire setup of task loan, how to use it, how to implement it. It's a cool product. Troy Christmas is the creator. He's down in the Bay Area in California. He did an excellent job with this product. It's well conceived. It works well. It takes a little while to set up, but once you got all the switches in place, as you saw, I did the live demo. It works like a hot damn. So that I'm gonna tease you and say take the course. It'll be worth it for you. Okay. How do I reverse local folder to a sync folder? I'm not positive about that. Actually, I think I'm not too sure. I can't remember, and it's not something that I'm going to poke into right now. But again, that's something that for the Evernote forums is a great place. Pamela, how do I use tags versus comments? Well, the comments when you create, I think, actually, let me just take a look. I don't think that when you create a comment on as you're saving it within, you're talking, I think, about the web clipper. When you create a comment, it actually puts it in the title as opposed to a tag. So I think it's a difference of the title versus the tags themselves. Not 100% positive on that. I haven't thought that through. How do you do editable forms in Evernote? Wow, good questions. Editable forms. I would probably do them through a link. I probably wouldn't actually create an editable form in Evernote. I would probably use something like I use Email Me form or something similar to that. I would use a different tool, and I would just create a web link within my Evernote form to share that. I'm not sure I would try, and as I said, Evernote being the jack of all trades, master of none, I'm not sure I would choose Evernote. You know, you can create great editable forms just in Google Docs. There's a free forms tool in Google Drive, and again, If you visit my web channel on YouTube, I did a I did a tutorial. I believe it's great. I did a tutorial on how to create simple editable forms for free using Google Drive, and that would integrate really nice with Evernote. Again, you'd use it as a web link. You would create a link within the note and have people go outside of Evernote and save it, and then you would work with that in Google Drive. That would be the way that I would do that, or using a tool like Email Me Form or one of those sorts of tools. Everybody that's thanking me, Jane, Pamela, James, thank you all so much for coming in. How are we doing for a number of people left? Let's just take a look here. We still got 160 people. I'm going to stick around then. If it's okay with you guys, we'll just keep. I'll just keep answering questions as best I can right now. Oh, let me drink some water. I've been talking for an hour without drinking, folks. Damn, I wish that stupid Siri had worked, eh? Oh, fun stuff. Okay. Please send me a link for the sign-up course. I'm going to put the link in again for the course. If people are interested, I hope lots of you are signing up. I haven't taken a look, but darn, I'm excited about this course. And the thing is, you guys get to be my beta testers for the course to a certain extent. So any changes that you make or any recommendations that you make, I'm going to be pouring back into the course over the next couple of weeks. But you all benefit from that because you'll be able to update the course based on your recommendation. I'm really looking forward to what the public has to say about the content in the course. Cecil, thank you. Kareen, so much. I appreciate it so much that you thought it was great. Constance, thank you. And Kevin, thank you as well. So, any other questions? Oh, would you like to offer the YouTube course as a complete package and offer discount? Mike, yeah, I could work some. If he's interested in taking the YouTube course. The YouTube course is not set up to run again right away, Mike. It's going to be. I'm going to be going through and reworking some of the content, and I'm going to be trying to compress it. For those of you, the YouTube course was 2 months long. There was 40 modules, and I felt that some of those modules were a little bit thin. I felt like I was actually running out of content, so I want to tighten it up a little bit and make it maybe 30 or even 20 lessons. So I'm going to be relaunching it again in October. But here's what you do, Mike, is drop me an email at info@dottotech.com. I'll give you access to the existing YouTube content that you have. It won't be sent to you, but I'll send them all. It won't be sent to you daily, but I'll give you access to the entire to all of the product and to this course, and I'll figure out a price. But send me an email to info@dottotech.com. I'll just type that in here. Send me an email saying that you want a package deal for both of the courses, and I'll figure out something when I have time to think about it clearly. But I'm glad that you'd like to take them both. Good stuff. Peggy, you agree with Anne's question? Would love to know more about connecting Evernote and Google Calendar. Okay, the Evernote Google Calendar connection that I'm talking about comes through Task Clone, and it works almost identically to the to what I showed you as far as putting the check mark in and then using the send to Asana, except the tag is going to be to Google Calendar. It's going to be a slightly different tag that you're going to add to that note. And after the checkbox, you also, I think, have to put the word schedule : and then you use Google's natural language date metaphor. So you can say June 2nd, 2014, 2 p.m., and it will put whatever follows in as an appointment in that time. It's pretty sexy. It works really well, only as far as I know at this point with Google Calendar, though. So in that is, again, I covered a little bit in the course, but if you sign up for Task Clone, they walk you through the tutorial of that in their program. Task Clone, by the way, is not free. It's free to try for 2 weeks, and the maximum you spend per year is, I think, $15. That's their premium do everything version. So it's not a very, it's kind of like LastPass. It's one of those incredible bargains, software as a service that I'm really happy to support and let people know about because it does a great job. How do I clear out old syncs? That you mentioned that earlier. How do I clear old syncs? I'm not too sure, Jeff, at this point here. This isn't, technically speaking, I can't solve technical issues right now, but again, that would be something that I would take a look at in the Evernote community. There probably it's already been covered there if you just do a quick search in there. Okay. Chris, I assume you need to go premium to manage two accounts. To manage I think is it 2 accounts work personal? I don't think so. I think you could set up multiple Evernote accounts if you wanted a separate work and personal account. It doesn't have any way to demarc notebooks personal and unless you choose to use offline and online. But I don't think you have to be premium to have more than one account. But I'm not sure on that. That's something that we'll have to check into and see if we can get back to you on. to tag or create a notebook? What are your determining factors? Thanks, Steve. I start with tags. Tag it, and then as you're sorting through your tags, if you're looking at a tag and you've got an inordinate number of notes that are tagged with that tag, then you can consider making it a notebook. But don't start with it as a notebook. Start with tags. And that's a great way of evolving your Evernote account. It's a moving target. You don't ever have Evernote locked and loaded where you're never changing your structure and you're never changing things. For example, every time I get on a plane, I sync all my notebooks, and then I go through and I clean up all my tags, and that's when even though I'm offline, I've still got all of my information. I go through and I sort all my tags and throw out ones that are not needed, and change the spelling on a few to make sure that they're more relevant. Where I might have a demo and demos, I'll make them into a single tag, and then pull all the notes together. But if you've got a tag that has an inordinate number of notes, that is a great candidate to become a notebook. You did some tests on the web version of Evernote and still couldn't retrieve a PDF document for printing. What's my advice? The Evernote works premium. The premium version works with PDF. I'm not too sure about opening a PDF document in the web browser for printing. I'm not too sure what the issue is there, but it's probably where the attachment is saved and how the attachment is saved. Again, that's something for the Evernote forum. I don't have any advice other than sending you the forum. I should have a sign. Go to the Evernote forum and see if it helps there. Phil, you are most welcome. Okay. Peggy, signing up for Task Clone today. Excellent, Peggy. I hope you're taking the course too. But if not, Troy says thank you and thumbs up. Let me know. Drop me a note on how Task Clone works for you. That's excellent. How do you connect Evernote with Hootsuite? Madeline, what a great question. I actually have a video on that on my YouTube channel where I walk you through how I use Evernote in Hootsuite, and it's very cool. In Hootsuite, you've got something called the Hootsuite app directory. If you go into the Hootsuite app directory, you will find there several conduits that will allow you to connect your Evernote account. Once you do that, they'll ask permission to Hootsuite will ask permission to connect to Evernote, and then your Evernote stream will become your Evernote notebook will become a feed, a stream within your Hootsuite account. And you have all of the same options once they're in Hootsuite of what you can do with each of those notes as though they were tweets or as though they were other digital assets in Hootsuite. Très cool. That's the French word for very. Okay. Good stuff. And, well, we're 15 minutes over. And I'm gonna stay in chat for a little bit. I'm going to read through the old chats now. I'm getting kind of tired. I'm getting kind of worn out. It's been an hour and 15 minutes, and it's nap time for Steve. I hope that you found this, those that you were with me still. Thanks so much for all of the questions. I've enjoyed the conversation. I look forward, if you do sign up for the course, I am really looking forward to your feedback as we move ahead in the course. It's going to be my flagship product for the next few years, and I'm really excited to launch it. And thank you, because you guys are the first people in the public that I have talked to about it. So you're my launch. That's the launch of the product. Woohoo! So with that, I'm going to disconnect the broadcast. I want to say a big shout out to Fraser Morrison for your wonderful support, and thank you very much. I will be in chat for the next little while. Until next time, once again, have fun storming the castle.